There are certain places in our world where disaster seems to strike without warning, taking lives and leaving behind stories that seem almost unbelievable. One such place is the Strait of Malacca. In 1947, a chilling SOS message crackled over the radios of ships in the Strait of Malacca. It read, "All officers, including the captain, are dead, lying in chart room and bridge, possibly whole crew dead." Moments later, a second final transmission came through. It read, "I die." This was the last anyone ever heard from the captain of the Dutch freighter, the SS Ourang Medan, and then the ship was gone. The nearest ship to the Ourang Medan was the American troop transport. The USS, the captain of saw the distress signal and wasted no time in responding. Within minutes, he changed course and raced toward the coordinates of the stricken vessel. He hoped to find the crew alive and well and needed assistance. Instead, he found a nightmare. They approached the Ourang Medan cautiously. As they got closer, they noticed something strange. The freighter was drifting aimlessly, completely unmanned. There was no sign of life anywhere. What had happened here? The captain of the had only one way to find out. He ordered his men to board the ghost ship and see what was going on. When they did, they found every single member of the Ourang Medan's crew dead, strewn about the ship as if abandoned in a hurry. Bodies littered the decks. Some were slumped over the railing, while others were found in the ship's hold. Many lay sprawled across the bridge or huddled together in the chart room, their faces frozen in expressions of sheer terror. Some even had their arms outstretched as if warding off an unseen attacker. Their eyes stared vacantly into the sky, and their mouths were twisted in silent screams. It was as though some horrible, unexpected sight had suddenly materialized before them and taken their lives. But when the rescuers searched for signs of a struggle or any indication of foul play, they found nothing. There were no wounds, no broken bones, and no torn clothing. It was as if the crew had simply dropped where they stood and collapsed. Even the ship's dog was found dead, teeth bared in a silent snarl. But that wasn't the only thing that struck the rescuers as odd. Despite the stench of death hanging heavy in the air, the bodies didn't appear to be decaying. They were stiff and cold to the touch, and their skin was still supple. The sight was both gruesome and disturbing. The captain of the knew he had to do something. With the crew obviously dead and no immediate danger to his own men, he radioed for instructions. His orders were simple: take the dead off the ship and leave it adrift in the sea. As they prepared to tow the Ourang Medan away, something strange happened again. Smoke began to rise from the cargo hold of the stricken vessel. Then, just as suddenly, a violent explosion tore through the ship. The Ourang Medan split in two and sank beneath the waves, taking its secrets with it. It was later discovered that the ship was carrying a cargo of metal drums filled with a chemical compound known as tetrathyl lead. This highly toxic substance is used in the production of gasoline, but it can also be deadly if inhaled or ingested. The most likely cause of the Ourang Medan tragedy is that the crew was killed by poison gas that somehow leaked from the cargo hold. Perhaps a malfunction in the ship's hull allowed the gas to escape, or maybe the drums ruptured, releasing the deadly fumes. Whatever the cause, the gas would have quickly incapacitated the crew, causing them to collapse and die within minutes. There are other theories, too. Some believe that the crew was killed by a secret wartime experiment, perhaps a biological weapon or a test of a new chemical nerve agent. These theories are based on the fact that during World War II, several countries, including the United States, Britain and Germany, experimented with poison gas and other chemical weapons, and it's possible that the Ourang Medan was the unfortunate victim of one of these tests. Still, the mystery remains. Why did the ship's captain radio the distress call? Who sent the cryptic message? And why were the crew so terrified? Did they see something truly horrifying in those final moments? What makes the story even more chilling is that similar incidents have happened before. The Ourang Medan isn't the only ship to have sent out a distress call only to have its crew turn up dead in 1988. The Soviet nuclear-powered cruise ship Georgy Alexandrov was sailing through the Bering Sea when its crew reported a strange white mist in the ship's engine room. Soon after, the crew began to feel ill, and many of them died. A rescue helicopter was sent to investigate and found the rest of the crew dead. An inquiry into the incident revealed that the crew had been killed by carbon monoxide poisoning, but how the poison had entered the ship remained a mystery. And then there's the strange tale of the Mary Celeste, an American merchant ship that was found abandoned at sea in 1872. The ship's cargo of industrial alcohol was found to be missing, and the crew had vanished without a trace. To this day, the disappearance of the Mary Celeste's crew remains one of the most famous mysteries of the sea. Could there be something more sinister at work here? Could there be a malevolent force at play that's targeting ships and their crews? Some believe that the Ourang Medan may have been the victim of a supernatural occurrence. Some kind of ghostly apparition that appeared on board and killed the crew. One theory is that the ship was cursed. After all, the name Ourang Medan translates to dead man's chest in Malay, which doesn't exactly sound like a good omen. Others believe that the ship was haunted by the ghosts of sailors who died on board or in the waters around the Strait of Malacca. Some say that the area is a graveyard of ships and that the Ourang Medan was simply the latest victim. If this is true, then the ghost ship may have been responsible for the deaths of hundreds of people over the years. And it's possible that the Ourang Medan was simply the first ship to fall victim to its wrath. There are other theories too. Some believe that the crew was killed by a sea monster, a giant squid or octopus that somehow got loose and attacked the crew. This theory is based on the fact that giant squids have been known to attack ships and that the Strait of Malacca is home to a variety of marine life. It's also possible that the crew was killed by sharks, which are also known to attack ships and have been responsible for the deaths of several sailors. But perhaps the most intriguing theory is that the crew of the Urang Medan was killed by their own shipmates, that there was a mutiny on board, and the surviving crew members killed everyone else before sending out the distress call. This theory is supported by the fact that the crew seemed to have died suddenly and unexpectedly, which could have been caused by a virus or some other form of infection. It's also possible that the crew members were killed one by one, either by accident or on purpose, and that the killer or killers were responsible for sending out the distress call. Whatever the case, this would have been a horrific and terrifying ordeal for those involved. Sadly, we may never know what really happened on board the Ourang Medan. The ship's log and other records were lost when the vessel sank, and the only eyewitness accounts come from the crew of the Who found the ship deserted and its crew dead. Without any concrete evidence, we're left to speculate and imagine what could have happened. Perhaps the crew was killed by a natural phenomenon, a freak accident, or a sudden illness. Maybe it was something more sinister, a deliberate act of violence, or a tragic case of mistaken identity. Or maybe, just maybe, there's something more to the story, some kind of supernatural event that we can't explain. The truth is, we may never know what really happened on board the Ourang Medan, but one thing is for sure: the story of the ghost ship of death will continue to haunt the seas for years to come. Now, you need to watch The Most Haunted Places in the World, or have a look at this.